about that because we had Henry Cavill. I think he was the best Superman outside of what's his name back in the day. You know what I'm saying? What's his name? Christopher Reeve.
I didn't like Christopher Reeve.
I mean, I liked it for what it was. You know what I'm saying? I mean, honestly, that's the only Superman that we know of movie wise.
Yeah, Christopher Reeve,
movie wise, yeah,
movie wise.
He embodied the golden age Superman,
right?
The golden age Superman of when Superman was just the super good guy. Mm-hmm. We didn't see a human side. It was just a superhero, and he's always going to be good.
Right.
He wasn't gritty or anything like that. That's what Christopher Reeves embodied.
Right.
Kind of like the Batman that we see. You know, you have different types of Batman, and as far as DC goes and the reboots, the thing that bothers me about DC is there's no consistency.
Right.
In that movie. Y'all know I'm a Batman fanatic. Mm-hmm. And it has always pissed me off the fact how they treated Batman. They can't get one person to play him. Mm-hmm. They seem to have different overall themes or looks for the Batman. Had several great actors play Batman, but they never kept the actors to play Batman.
That's true.
You know what though? Even I think the biggest problem, especially with Batman and Superman, is every time they get a new Batman or Superman actor, they start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's why issue. Do we know the origins inside and out? Why not? Okay, this Batman told the origin. We're gonna continue the story. Listen, they have to keep backing the story up like we're dumb.
Listen, but here's my thing, and I'm sorry to crowbar in. I totally agree with you about that. I think I know Superman and Batman's origins better than anybody else. You can literally close your eyes and just visualize it in your brain, without even think about it. I think who in Marvel in the movies do we know that well? Origin. Spider-Man.
And they keep rebooting him every
that, right.
Right.
But here's what Marvel gets right. First of all, business-wise, they lock these actors into multi-movie contracts.
Right.
So whether the movie's gonna bomb or not, just in case, we're gonna lock you in.
Right.
Secondly, they take time, because the biggest thing that I hear from people who are not in the comics, they say that our first movie was a little slow. Right. It was a great movie, but it was a little slow.
Right.
Being in the comic books, we know they're telling a very abbreviated origin story, but in the overall scheme of things, because they told that origin story, even though it might be different than what was in the comics, it still helped you understand the movies as it continued.
Right.
It had some continuity, even when they had the TV shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., even though they tried to write Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. off of the map, they still, when it was on, there was still some continuity with that. And even now, I kind of see where they're not trying to wipe it off the map totally. They're picking and choosing. But the point is, from a business decision, Marvel, when they got their properties back, as they got their properties back, they worked to make sure that they stay integrated as best they could. Even the whole reality thing. I mean, a lot of people are dogging out the Spider-Man movies. I understand that. But you know what? The multiverse thing, they had it. They used it. They tied all that together. To me, I felt like that was genius.
It was. The
sad thing is, DC had all the parts there. Had all the parts there. They could have went back to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Bam, we could tie all this stuff together.
Right.
And they do none of this. And I saw it coming from way back when they first started doing the TV shows. And one of the first things they said was they were not going to be any continuity of TV shows with the movies. I thought that was a bad decision, bad choice. And even up to the day with Discovery Communications buying Warner Brothers and shelving a $200 million Batgirl movie.
Oh man,
stupid! That is stupid. Plus the other movies they're shelving. On top of that, wow.
Yeah,
I think the only DC thing that has the go is Shazam. Well, they let Black Adam through, but Shazam's new movie, and then it's still up in the air because it's not totally canceled, is the Green Lantern project.
Yeah, they really need to go back and retouch Green Lantern because.
But I'm curious how long Gunn is going to stay there, and I say that because what they're doing to superhero movies are happening at a studio high level company decision from this merger. Mm-hmm. And I'd be curious to see if they're going to provide him with the tools that he needs in order to do what he needs to do. I mean, the man is a genius. He took Guardians of the Galaxy, a third tier comic at best,
and made it one of the features.
And I mean, I'm sitting there. I saw the previews. I remember telling Alvin, "Well, this is their first bomb," and I went to the movies out of loyalty to the MCU, and my God. And not only did they do it once, they did it twice.
Right.
So with that, the man's a genius. But to do it, the studio has to commit to that. The MCU was all in to that. They were all in. Even movies that don't do well, like the Eternals, mm-hmm. You're going to see that. You're going to see elements of that again.
Right.
Because that's integral to the story.
I think they're going to make him the Kevin Feige that's over there. You know what I'm saying?
The what?
The Kevin Feige. He's going to be the Kevin Feige over there. You know,
but you still got to. The studio still has to be willing to provide the finances and the resources. Yeah, but and I'm just wondering if they're willing to do that.
It's one of those situations where you can't have a talent like that then put them on a short leash. You got to let them have a lot of creative levity. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying, to do what needs to be done, because I think Alvin and I was talking about it last time. It's just like back in the days we saw superhero movies, the technology didn't meet the creativity of back then. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So the superhero movies, they was short. They fell very short. You know what I'm saying? So now that the technology is, it's exceeded in my opinion. You literally can do exactly what you want to do. If you can imagine it, you can do it on the film nowadays. There's no limits now. So when you have someone who has that type of creativity like James Gunn, you can't put them on a short leash. You know what I'm saying? And I know people, I don't know the execs and everything. I don't know what kind of comic book fans, or if they even are comic book fans. If they are comic book fans, I know that they'll be able to see the vision. But a lot of times, people who don't see the vision, they do that. I don't know if that'll work. I don't know if this will work. I don't know if that'll work. But James Gunn, like you just said about him taking over Guardians of the Galaxy, he took those superheroes and made them fixtures over in the MCU. So
that's what needs to be done in the DC universe, because we're tired of looking at Superman. We're tired of looking at Batman. They act like they have a plethora of heroes and villains.
That's a good Scrabble word. That's a good Scrabble word.
But
I taught him well.
These 4, 5, 6 heroes get all the movies. Yeah. And it seems like
they can't hold it all up themselves.
Right. I don't know if they can't hold it all up themselves, but I've physically gotten tired of looking, just like I was saying, every time you bring them out, you got to start it over.
Right. And that's what's going to happen now. So,
and then where they did Marvel and DC correctly, Marvel correctly is they played to a bigger villain in Thanos. He wasn't just worldwide, he was galaxy wide. And you have that aspect in DC to bring all of these characters together.
Right.
Because when you just make a standalone movie with not the possibility, it's almost like take the Blue Beetle for it. I'm just grabbing a hero. Right. You take the Blue Beetle and you put him in a standalone movie. How do you work the DC universe if it's just a standalone movie? Because this could be a one shot. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
How do you progress the DC universe if you're not going to include the DC universe?
Right. Right.
And my biggest thing when they brought out that Justice League fiasco is you put him up against a lackey, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.